All right, so in this video, we're going to be making kind of this roadside farm stand, so to speak. This is actually going to be for a food truck as a separate little stand for them to sell food out of. It's going to be pretty good sized when it's all said and done. Now, these are not all the boards that we're going to need, but this will get most of them done. Most of what we need except for the roof pieces. So I'll go through those with you quickly. Now, we do have a set of plans available for this project, and this project is probably just complicated enough where I would really recommend getting the set of plans. So you go to $5plans.com, or there's a link right here in the video description below where you can click on that link and order the plans directly as well. All right, so with all that said, we can go ahead and walk through what we've got going on here so far. Now, I decided to use 2x6s, and then we're going to rip all those 2x6s down to 2.5 inches wide. So we're going to get one stick out of each board here. So we're going to start here. We need one board that is 86 3/8 inches. So we're going to get two 2.5 inch sticks. And then we need one board that a 2x4 that is 76 inches long. And then we're going to need a 76 inch 2x6 as well. And again, we're going to rip everything down to 2.5 from here on out. So we've got two pieces that are 69, one piece that is 60. We got a 2x4 that's 57, and then we also have a 2x6 that is 57. And then we have two 33-inch pieces, which I believe we need one more of these, possibly even two more. I kind of forgot exactly how many 33-inch pieces we needed, but I know we need more than four. It's either 6 or 8. And then we have three pieces that are 27.5 inches, and then we have two pieces that are 24.5 inches. So all of my 2x6 material, I'm going to rip down to 2.5 inches wide, and then my 2x4s, I'm not ripping. I'm not doing anything with those at the moment. So we're just going to set that aside and get all of this stuff ripped in half, or ripped down to 2.5 inch sticks. All right, so you can see we've got all of our 2x6 pieces ripped down to our 2.5 inch width. And the reason I did that is because it is slightly cheaper than using 2x4s. That's one reason, but also to save on the weight of it, because the customer wanted to be able to move it with two people, and hopefully that will be manageable with two people. So that is why we're using the 2.5 inch sticks here. All right, so with all that said, we can go ahead and we're going to move over to our trailer and put some of these panels together. We need 3 panels. So we're going to put the panels together on the trailer because of the size of the boards that we're using. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is put our two sidewalls together. And so we are going to need 4 of our 69-inch long boards. And then we are going to need 2 of our 24.5 inch boards. And then we're going to need 4 of our 27.5 inch boards. And then we are going to need 2 of our 33-inch boards. And that's what we're going to use to put our 2 sidewalls together. So I'm going to go ahead and put one sidewall together, show you what it looks like, and we'll talk some dimensions and make sure you get all the parts figured out if you're not working off a set of plans. Here is one of our panels that are complete. So at the top and bottom, we have our 27.5 inch piece right here in the middle, we have our 33-inch piece. Across the top is 24.5 inches, 27.5, and 269s. Okay, so we measured up from the bottom to 36 inches at the top. Okay, and of course that's 33. And so we take 27.5. We mark the middle where the stud should go in the middle here at 13 3/4. And then up here, we mark this one at 12 1/4 because that's 24.5. Half of that's 12 1/4. Okay. We put all that together with our 3.5-inch deck screws. All right. So we need 2 of these. We need a left side and a right side panel. So we'll go ahead and make the other one the exact same way. So now we are going to be building our front panel here. And so our 2 longest pieces, those are 86 3/8. And then our bottom plate is 60 inches wide. That makes this plate, our top plate, that makes that 57 inches. We have 3 pieces that are 33. And then we have a 2x4 that is 57. And then we have a 2x6 that is 57. And then we have one 2x2, or I say 2x2, it's 2.5 inches. But this top plate, that is 76 inches. So that's going to give us an 8-inch overhang on both sides. Okay, so just like on our sideboard panels, we're measuring up to the top of that 2x4 plate, 36 inches. And then I will get the dimension between each one of these studs here. But we'll go ahead and put this together. Show you what that looks like. All right, so there is the front wall assembly. So what we did for these boards as far as placement, came over 30 inches, centered that board, and then came over from the outside, from the inside 14 inches, and then from the inside over 14 inches, because the distance here is roughly 28 inches is what's left. Did the same thing up there, found the center, and then came over 14, And then for our 2x4, 57 inches, we came from the bottom all the way up to this point right here, 72 inches, 6 foot, and put that 2x4 across the bottom. We used a 2x6 to help square this all up and keep it square. And then, of course, we've got our 76-inch piece. This has an 8-inch overhang on both sides. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip the whole unit over, and then while it's on the trailer, we're going to go ahead and mount our sidewalls to it. Okay? And I think I'm going to use 4-inch screws to mount, or maybe even 4.5-inch screws if I have them. I'll see what I've got, but I'll use the longest screws I got, because we're going to go through these walls into these studs, so we've got plenty of room. So let me go ahead and get that done, get it flipped over and get those mounted, and we can kind of move on from here. All right, so we have our sidewalls in place. So we've gone ahead and flushed them up at the bottom there. I used 3.5-inch screws, or 4-inch screws. I actually use 4-inch screws. 3 there, 3 there, and then we have a 76-inch 2x4 going across, and then I used 3.5-inch screws up top, 2.5-inch screws at the bottom, and this has an 8-inch overhang, just like we do at the front. Okay, so now this is a pretty rigid frame setup. Now, the customer is going to supply some kind of table for the inside here. So they're trying to cut corners and didn't want a permanent table in there. So So we are going to add a little ledge across the front and the sides here, a little serving ledge. And then we have to cut our roof joists. So I think that's what I'm going to do next, is go ahead and cut our roof joists. I think we are using, let's see, we're using 5 of them. So we will be using 5 of those. So we'll get those made. Again, we're just going to do that out of 2.5-inch material. So I'll go ahead and get those cut, and we're going to have to notch them, and then I'll show you how that all goes together. So now we have our roof joists in, and we did use 5 of them. And so our little notch there is 10 5/8 from the tip down. Now that board is 54.5 inches, and then the notch on the back side is 7.5 inches in. And we do have templates in the plans that have those little notches in place. So what we did was we put one at the end, one in the middle, and then that one is placed, the center of that is at 18 inches on center. So that's how that all worked out. And we did that, of course, on the front and the back side. Now we are going to add a little serving ledge all the way around as well, but that was kind of custom for this particular customer. They wanted that added to it. So we'll go ahead and get that done.